Hey guys, welcome back. As you can see, last episode we got the motor in down there. Trying a little something new today. I picked up a camera gimbal here, so hopefully the shots are a little smoother. It's going to take me a little bit of getting used to though, but we'll try it. So today's kind of going to be a random day. I'm going to go ahead and go underneath and hit my transmission. My pan didn't come in, back ordered, so I'm saying ditch the pan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this factory pan, take it off, sandblast it, paint it, be done with it. So it's been a rough parts week. So fuel tank's on back order till God knows how long, so we're gonna hold off as long as we can and see if it'll come in. But so besides the point, we're gonna go through and do our transmission filter, oil pan gasket, or transmission pan gasket. I got my linkages down underneath I got to do, including our BR shifter cable and our speedometer cable. So, and then there's another linkage for the column that we'll hook back up. I did get a new your kickdown cable for the Turbo 350 trans. I did get that new, and we'll see how far we get. But I do have a cover for be the torque converter that we're going to see if it'll work with the transmission. We might have to modify it a little bit, but I'd like that covered up. Got our starter here. We'll bolt up and just kind of start getting everything laid out, just to start looking at exhaust options, and yeah, getting closer and closer to getting this thing all wrapped up in here. So with that, we are going to go ahead and start with the transmission. I'm going to pull the pan and drain that, and while that's under there getting drained, then we'll start restoring some of this stuff, as far as the linkage and bolts, and we'll start restoring a little bit of that, probably put a little bit of that time lapse in here. If you guys would like me to touch base on, you know what? I'm just gonna touch base on my bolt oxidizing again. Some of you guys have had issues with trying to find, obviously finding the bolts is okay, but trying to make them all look relatively the same is kind of, going to the car shows, you're seeing these things. So we're gonna go ahead and do our bolt oxidizing again. I'll briefly touch on it, but like I said, small stuff starting now, and yeah, we'll see where we go from here. Okay, so we're into the car, so we're gonna get our transmission pan taken off. Yeah, I know this kind of sucks for you, kind of sucks for me, but I'd much rather have it under the car right now. So let's go ahead, and we're actually going to take these two bolts over here off first. Starting to leak. Hopefully we get the money shot out of this. Hopefully I don't get you dirty. There she is. And we'll go ahead and take our filter off. And like always, make sure you inspect everything. Filter looks good. Pan looks good. A little bit of schmutz in there, but everything's good. No metal chunks. Actually, I think this has been taken off quite recently, so nice red tint to the ATF. But we're gonna go ahead and clean all this up and paint the pan and change our filter. Okay. Well, I got the transmission pan and some of the bracketry and stuff back there dry and painted. I went ahead and got all my hardware for my transmission sandblasted, even the springs. There's a spring that goes to one of the brackets and some of the pins. So I told you I was going to go ahead and go over my oxidizing process again. For some of you guys that are new here, I use this Caswell, a black oxidizing concentrate. You can get it at any size, 1 quart. I think you can get it all the way up to a gallon. But all this is it's 1 part of your oxidizing to this is distilled water to 9 parts of distilled water. I've just been measuring it out with cap, so I have a line on my tray here. Just pour some water in. And then I'm going to do my concentrate. Like I said, this is kind of what I've been doing throughout the entire build. Just going through and re-black oxidizing the bolts so they just look more original. So make sure you're wearing gloves. Take our bolts that are freshly sandblasted and just drop them in. And you'll notice within a few seconds you'll see them start blackening up. I usually tend to leave them in a little bit longer than they recommend on the bottle, and just drop them right in. Careful not to touch them with greasy fingers or anything, because that will mess up the oxidizing. So just doing all of it. So, all the bolts for the transmission, and now they're in. And you'll see me come back when they're all done, and I will go ahead and take them out and stick them in. I just got a thing here of used motor oil, and when you take them out, like I said, those went in freshly sandblasted and they come out nice black oxidized. So yeah, we'll come back when we're ready to take them out and put them in the oil. Okay, been a few minutes here, so I'm going to take them out. Like I said, they take them from freshly sandblasted to nice and black oxidized, and to keep them in that state and kind of keep them so that they don't rust up, like I said, I used motor oil. Just plop them out and drop them in there. What that's going to do is that's going to let the pores from sandblasting soak up that oil and keep them from rusting for a while. So go ahead and do this, and then we'll get back underneath the car and put everything back together. Okay, so ran out of time that day, so Same week, just different day. So we got the pan off. That's all painted over there. So is our linkage. Bolts are all done. Now we're going to go ahead and put our new takedown cable in, or kickdown cable on our Turbo 350. So I'm gonna route this in there and go ahead and get up in there and connect this end to the trans. Okay, so the Turbo 350 takedown cable or kickdown cable is these are my cooler lines. I just pinched them and cut them off just to keep crap from getting into them. So it's there's a cable right here. You can see the end of the bolt there. So we're gonna go ahead and take that bolt out. Let me get an extension. Bolt out. This is the broken piece off of my other one. You can see it's, I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Yeah, it's broken. And grab a new one. I got routed in here already. Get that fished in place. Okay, that was a little difficult to film. Probably should have done that out of the car and showed you guys. So I kind of rigged a little bit of a explanation up here. So this is my broken one, obviously. It's your kickdown cable. See how it's got the eyelet in it? Well, there's a rod inside the transmission there that comes out that little hole. And what it does, what you do is you just feed it through and hook it on. So it hooks on like that. Obviously this is a little bit bigger. It's just a small little portion there, and that connects the cables. I'll go down here and I'll show you that rod coming through, and we'll start getting our filter on. Okay, I'm back under the car. I'll just kind of give you some guidelines where we're at. This is trans cross member facing forward, so just so you guys know a reference of where you're at. This is that rod that I was talking about for our kickdown cable. Comes down here and hooks to a pump, and that actuates that pump. When you mash the throttle, it downshifts for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and get our new filter on and gasket. Don't forget the gasket for your filter. There's not only a gasket for your pan, there's a gasket for your filter. Okay, so we're back up top here. We got our oil pan or transmission pan we pulled off here. Got it all cleaned up and painted. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through and and double check that I got this thing cleaned really good, so we don't have any bad stuff into the transmission, which probably will not end up very good. So gotta clean our gasket surface up here. I don't know what they used on this thing last time, but it's like glue. It's not RTV. I don't know what it is. Probably why it leaked. But I'm gonna get that off in a minute. So what I'm gonna use is just a little bit of this Prep All. It's a little bit better than like lacquer thinner or anything like that. That'll leave residue. Just go through and wipe this pan out. I'm gonna go ahead and get some RTV, and this uses kind of a, it's still a Felpro gasket, but it's kind of a crappy, the way these are designed. It's just a cork gasket, so we're gonna go ahead and lay just a thin bead of RTV all the way around this, and then lay our gasket on, and then put some RTV on top of it. So just that type of gasket. LS's are really nice when it comes to that. Those gaskets they use, I'm so happy with the way they are. The steel frame with the rubber, basically O-ring. So let's get some RTV on here and get this thing on the car. Okay, so I went ahead and got my transmission pan on, as you guys saw. I went ahead and connected my shifter linkage and my column linkage. This actually has a floor shifter, and then it also has a linkage for the column that when you have the key in the lock position, it will not let it come out of park. So we went ahead and got that linkage hooked up. I'll take you down here, and I'll also throw in some pictures of the linkage all hooked up. And yeah, so take you down here, show you that, and then we will come back and we are going to go ahead and throw the starter on. I do have, hold on a sec here, still got to clean it up, but this goes underneath the transmission where the torque converter is. Starter goes in here, bolts up there, just kind of covers everything up. I'm gonna see if I can modify this to work with the LS, just to try to keep some of the grime and crap out of that general vicinity. So we're gonna go ahead and throw the starter on real quick and kind of throw this up there. So what you got here is our column. That rod goes all the way down. There's another lever there that goes across to our it's our shifter selector, and all that does is prevent you from shifting it into gear when the key is off. So more of a theft thing. And you can see underneath that bolt right there, that's just our shifter linkage. So that's all done. Let's try to get this pan on that covers our flex plate and torque converter. Okay, so we're underneath the car here. You can see I'm trying to fit that plastic piece on, and we're gonna have to trim it around this oil pan. So got our starter up in there. Like I said, sorry for the video, but this is the nature of the beast when you're working underneath the car. So I'm gonna start trimming on this plastic piece and get it to fit as best as I can. Okay, so the way I'm gonna go about this piece, I slipped it up in there, and there's about right here is the oil pan on this side. About right where I put the tape is the oil pan on that side. The starter looks like we're not gonna have an issue with it, but we're gonna go ahead and cut this all the way down to here and just start with a straight cut right across and then back up. Obviously we're gonna come in and shape all this with a die grinder, but just trying to get it close. So I'm gonna use a pair of tin snips and snip this up. And after some cutting, that's what we got. So now it's all nice and covered up. I'm not seeing the flywheel or the flex plate and the torque converter, so it should stay clean. After all that, pretty wore out. Laying on the concrete here. It's not much fun, but it's got to get done. So I think we're gonna call that an episode. We'll come back and we'll go up top. We'll get our knock sensors done. We'll get our dipstick in. I got some bolts, so we'll mock up our exhaust manifolds on there. See how those are going to work out. Make the decision if we're going to have to go down a different route with those. So, and then possibly start looking at the wiring. So we got our hollow terminator back here, and we'll start laying out the wiring and see where we're gonna mount that. So like always, come back, like, subscribe, leave me a comment. No comment is a bad comment. Get information from it. Hopefully I fixed the audio problem that we've been having in this episode, where I'm quiet, music's loud. Gonna pay more attention to that. Thank you again for that criticism. Like I said, anything helps. I'm new to this. I'm just trying to make some good content for you guys and kind of get you excited about working on cars. So with that, come back for more, and see you down the road.